You've played this game before. Not this specific one, but this one. Climb something tall to reveal the map. Clear an outpost. Collect the icons. Move to the next zone. The setting changes. Ancient Egypt, Montana, San Francisco, feudal Japan, but underneath the same skeleton, every time. This isn't an accident. It was a system, built deliberately, scaled globally, and then impossible to dismantle. This is how Ubisoft built a formula, and how that formula built a trap. The formula didn't begin as a formula. It began as a generally innovative design decision in 2007. Assassin's Creed launched October 2007 on PS3 and Xbox 360. It introduced a third-person open world built around a single core mechanic, free running through historically reconstructed cities: Damascus, Acre, Jerusalem, each rendered with architectural detail that no open world had attempted at that scale before. The viewpoint system was its structural backbone. Climb a high point, synchronize, and the surrounding area of the map revealed itself. Enemy locations, objectives, points of interest appearing from the fog of war. It was elegant design. Exploration felt earned. The game sold over 8 million copies. A sequel was greenlit immediately. Assassin's Creed 2 in 2009 refined every system. Renaissance Florence and Venice, a richer narrative, expanded parkour mechanics, and a deeper economy. It sold over 9 million copies and is still considered one of the strongest entries in the franchise. What Ubisoft had built by 2010 was a replicable design template. A large open world divided into districts or regions. Viewpoints that revealed map content on synchronization. A main story progressing through mission hubs. Side content, collectibles, assassination contracts, side missions populating each region. A progression system rewarding exploration and completion. The template worked because it was coherent. Every system reinforced every other system. Players always knew what to do and always had something to do next. For players in 2009 and 2010, the template felt generous. A world that rewarded curiosity. A map that filled in as you moved through it. Side content that extended the experience without demanding it. And then Ubisoft made a decision that changed everything. They didn't just build a sequel, they built a franchise production system. Between 2012 and 2016, Ubisoft became the most prolific AAA publisher on the planet, and they did it by industrializing their own design language. Far Cry 3 launched December 2012. Rook Island, a villain named Vaz, a first-person open world built on the exact structural template Assassin's Creed had pioneered. Radio towers replacing viewpoints, outposts replacing fortresses, a map that revealed itself through completion. Far Cry 3 sold over 10 million copies. It was critically acclaimed. Vaz became one of the gaming's most celebrated antagonists. Far Cry 4, released in 2014. Kirat, different villain, same structure. Far Cry Primal in 2016. Stone Age, same structure. Far Cry 5 in 2018. Montana, same structure. Watch Dogs launched May 2014. A new IP set in Chicago, built around hacking mechanics. Underneath the hacking, the same open world template. Towers replaced by CTOS towers. Outposts replaced by gang hideouts. By 2015, Ubisoft was releasing 6 AAA titles per year. More than EA, more than Activision, more than any other publisher. The industrial logic behind that was sound, at least financially. Ubisoft operated across 12 major studios simultaneously: Montreal, Paris, Toronto, Quebec, Singapore, and others, each working on different projects in parallel. The shared design template meant new projects could begin with a proven structural foundation. Art and animation pipelines could be partially shared across titles. Design teams didn't need to solve fundamental gameplay questions from scratch. Quality floors were predictable, the template worked, so the baseline was reliable. Ubisoft had nearly 16,000 developers, a larger team than all other competitors, and was producing about 6 AAA titles per year versus 3 from the likes of EA and Take-Two. For players in 2012 and 2013, this still worked. Far Cry 3 felt fresh. Watch Dogs felt innovative in concept, even if the execution was familiar underneath. The template was recognizable, but the settings were different enough, the production values high enough, that repetition hadn't yet become the story. But the market was changing around Ubisoft, and the template, designed for a specific era of gaming, was about to collide with a player base that had become far more sophisticated. The formula became visible in 2014, not because players suddenly noticed it, but because two things happened simultaneously. Assassin's Creed Unity launched November 2014, set in revolutionary Paris, the most technically ambitious entry in the franchise, crowds of hundreds of NPCs, unprecedented graphic fidelity, and a launch so riddled with bugs that Ubisoft issued a public apology and offered free DLC as compensation. The critical reception was mixed. The commercial performance was below expectations, and the community conversation shifted from discussing what the game did well to discussing what every Assassin's Creed game now did identically. The template had become the topic. Simultaneously, The Witcher 3 launched May 2015, an open world with handcrafted quests, meaningful choices, and side content that told its own stories. It demonstrated that open world design could work without a checklist structure, and players noticed the contrast immediately. What The Witcher 3 exposed wasn't that Ubisoft's formula was bad, it was that the formula had been mistaken for the only way to build open worlds. The structural differences were specific. Ubisoft's side content was generated from a template: camps, convoys, collectibles, with defined reward structures. The Witcher 3's side content was authored individually. Each quest had its own narrative, its own resolution, its own reason to exist. Ubisoft's maps were dense with icons, quantity communicating value. The Witcher 3 maps were sparse, each marker representing something worth finding. Players who had accepted Ubisoft's approach as standard suddenly had a point of comparison. By 2016 and 2017, the criticism of Ubisoft's formula had moved from niche gaming forums to mainstream reviews. Ubisoft Open World had become a descriptor, a shorthand for a specific kind of experience, not necessarily bad, but immediately identifiable and increasingly predictable. Ubisoft's response was to scale the template further, which made the problem worse. Between 2018 and 2024, Ubisoft didn't change the formula, they expanded it. Assassin's Creed Odyssey in 2018, Ancient Greece, the largest Assassin's Creed map ever made, over 100 hours of content, RPG mechanics layered on top of the existing template. Sold well, but criticism of bloated, repetitive content was consistent across reviews. Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 2020, Viking England, an even larger map, over 130 hours of content. The longest Assassin's Creed game ever made, also the most frequently cited as exhausting to complete. Skull and Bones in 2024, a pirate naval game that spent 7 years in development, went through multiple complete redesigns, and launched to mid-reviews and poor sales. The game Ubisoft had once described as an AAA title, 4 A's, not 3. Star Wars Outlaws in 2024, the most commercially significant new IP Ubisoft had attempted in years, built on the most valuable entertainment license in the world. Across Europe, the game was the 47th best-selling game of the year, and sold less than Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which had released the year before. The financial consequences were structural and severe. Ubisoft's market cap collapsed from $12.17 billion in 2021 to just $1.78 billion by 2025, an 85% loss in value. Ubisoft reported a $159 million loss for fiscal year 2024-2025, with net bookings totaling $1.85 billion, a 20.5% drop from the previous year. Between 2022 and 2024, Ubisoft laid off 1,700 employees. X-Defiant, their arena shooter designed to compete with Call of Duty, was discontinued after just 6 months. The cruelest irony of Ubisoft's position was structural. The formula that made them the most prolific AAA publisher on the planet had made it financially impossible to stop using it. Rebuilding a development pipeline of 16,000 people around a fundamentally different design philosophy would take years and billions of dollars they no longer had. And yet, as of 2025, the CEO confirmed the strategy would not change. Ubisoft will continue to focus on open-world action adventures and games-as-a-service titles that receive regular content updates. The picture in 2025 and 2026 isn't entirely bleak. Assassin's Creed Shadows, set in feudal Japan, released March 2025, became one of the best-selling games of 2025 and recorded the second highest day one sales of any game in the franchise. The dual protagonist system, a shinobi and a samurai, was praised for adding genuine mechanical variety to the formula. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown 2024, a 2D action platformer that received widespread critical acclaim, proved that Ubisoft's smaller teams, freed from the open world template, could produce something genuinely distinctive. Looking forward, Ubisoft expects to roughly break even in the 2025-2026 fiscal year, with higher sales possible as several big titles delayed to 2026 and beyond enter the market. In March 2025, Ubisoft created a Tencent-backed subsidiary to manage its biggest franchises, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry and Rainbow Six, injecting capital and offloading operating costs. The Tencent deal restructured Ubisoft's IP ownership without fully resolving the creative question. The franchises are financially stabilized. The design philosophy remains unchanged at the top level. What Assassin's Creed Shadows demonstrated was that the formula, applied to the right setting, with genuine mechanical additions, can still work commercially. What it didn't demonstrate was that Ubisoft had found a way to build something structurally different at scale. The players who returned for Shadows weren't returning because the formula had changed. They were returning because feudal Japan was a setting the community had requested for over a decade, and because Ubisoft finally delivered it. That's a meaningful distinction. Demand for the setting, not necessarily trust in the studio. From a genuinely innovative design decision in 2007 to a formula that now defines an entire studio's identity. Ubisoft's story isn't one of a bad company making bad games. It is a story of a system that worked, scaled past the point where it could be questioned, and became too embedded to dismantle. The viewpoints, the outposts, the icon-filled maps, they weren't lazy design. They were the industrialization of something that once worked brilliantly, applied to consistently across so many games, across so many years, that the formula became the ceiling. An 85% collapse in market value, a $159 million loss in a single fiscal year, and a CEO who confirmed the strategy would not change. The trap isn't that Ubisoft can't see the problem. The trap is that the formula is the company, and that's worth understanding. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means the world. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a case.